It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Back in the day, movie-based video games were usually shameless cash grabs.
Sure.
There were a few exceptions, but not many. In 2001, just 12 days after the film's release, Argonaut Games delivered something surprisingly special, a game that actually let you step into the world of Hogwarts for the first time. So grab your wand and sit tight, because today we're playing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Pure art, brother. Pure art. Yep, that's what I think about older main menus. Does anyone remember this? Back then, when we had to resize the game to feel our TV screen in case we had one of those tube TVs. Anyways, by now you already know that I really like digging into the options. The game starts with a shot of this red book laying on top of a table. It's scary, right? It pretty much gives a brief introduction of the first minutes of the movie, which is Harry living under the Dursley stairs, Hagrid telling him,
You're a wizard, Harry.
and that the Sorting Hat put him on Gryffindor, immediately transporting us to the main hall of the castle. Gandalf himself welcomes Harry to Hogwarts. If I am not mistaken, this is the only time he will appear during the game, besides cinematics of course. Which is odd, you know, for the headmaster of the school. But go off, I guess. Before proceeding further with the main story, you are free to wander around the castle, which is always appreciated. You can talk to some portraits, but that's about it for now. First students we meet are the ginger twins, Fred and George, that already know Harry because of the scar on his forehead. They serve the purpose of being an NPC, which we collect stuff for. If we go fetch a certain amount of beans of each flavor, they will grant us with a password for special portraits that contains prizes for us. Sounds like a fair deal. Off we go. Inside Gryffindor's common room, you can save and there is a couple of notes that you can read, but other than that is completely irrelevant. As you can see, the game is not necessarily faithful to the real Hogwarts, but it does create a good experience of it. Back then, I'm sure no one really cared. We meet Ron, who gives us the news of Draco running with an owl that resembled the one that Harry owns. 5 minutes into this new school and we already have beef with some blonde kid. We find him, apparently he was waiting for us, and damn, he is ugly. Claims he's Draco Malfoy, first of his name. I don't care, I need my owl. The way to retrieve our pet, go by jumping through bookshelves. Something that I find very curious is that there is no jump button. Harry will automatically jump when approaching ledges, both good and a bad thing depending on the situation you are in. But yeah, quite a curious choice of controls. Never seen this in any other game. Nearly Headless Nick, popular ghost among the movies, makes an appearance to welcome us to Hogwarts. Also, tell us that there is no stairs in this room, so we're gonna have to jump a lot. First chance we get to cast some violent magic is against these snails. Harry will emit the magical words, Flipendo, and that's just awesome. Quick note to point out that the Flipendo in Spanish is so funny for no reason. Flipendo! Chocolate frogs, besides being a nasty snack, they also refill your HP. One common puzzle scenario across the game is this structure with a star. If we cast a Flipendo, they will slide in the direction we need them in order to advance. We make it to the next room and we notice a strange figure staring at us before leaving. It will be very creepy if we didn't know who it was. Jumping and jumping, Flipendos and Flipendos, all the way until we meet Neville Longbottom, who was led down here by Malfoy as well. He doesn't have a wand and is also afraid of flying books, not a problem for us. We help him across and in return he helps us find the room with our valuable pet. All we need to send him free is a Flipendo! And just like that, we saved Hedwig. Macaulay Culkin is nowhere to be seen to square the beef, so time to do some schooling. First class in our hands is flying lessons. Conveniently enough, 5 minutes prior to this event, our owl brought us a broom that I'm not sure where Harry has stored. Flying lesson starts, and it's a pretty simple concept, but hard execution. As you may know, controls back then were very clunky, so it took me a while to get used to it. At the end, it pays off to be comfortable with it, given that flying is an important part, unlike other games. Broom lessons are done, and we meet Hermione, which if you ask me, looks more like Ginny than anything, but okay. She tells us that Charms class is about to start, and takes off before we can say anything.
She's rather annoying, isn't she?
Something that makes absolute no sense is the fact that prior to entering any class, there's gonna be some platforming to do within a time frame. Mind you, like, do you want your students to be proficient in parkour or wizardry? Do you want them to be late and sweaty?
You must be Harry Potter. Welcome to Charms class. You're just in time.
I am just in time. Did you see what I just went through? Jumping aside, classes are important. In them, we're gonna learn to cast the basic spells that are gonna help us during the adventure. I wish we could our way out of everything, but that's not possible. First spell we learn is the famous Wingardium Leviosa, the levitation spell that's gonna allow us to solve so many puzzles. The concept to it is very simple. Just cast the spell, levitate it until desired destination, and drop it. We are routed towards the outsides of the castle, since Hagrid wants to talk to us. But right at the exit, Malfoy wants some screen time and decides to antagonize Harry one more time. During this fight, Draco throws crackers at us, and we just dodge and throw it back at him. A very 11-year-old situation, but that was their age at the time, so it's fine. We send crackers his way until he's defeated. He calls for reinforcements once and even twice. We repeat the process and we're finally in the school grounds. Hagrid says it's time for Herbology class. Meet me at my hut right after that. Again, some senseless parkour has to be done to make it to Herbology class. With the help of Professor Sprout, we are going to learn the Incendio spell. Important charm when it comes to burning whatever is sitting in front of us. 2 spells now in hand, we're next to meet Hagrid at his home, but not before being stopped by this Ravenclaw student that notifies us that first years can now make it to the Quidditch team, so better practice if you want to make it. Quidditch lessons are no different from flying lessons. Only difference is, at the end of going through however many hoops, Harry will get the chance to grab the snitch, since Harry plays as a seeker, fun fact, just like his father. After all that is done, we finally go see Hagrid in the forest. For whatever reason, a grown man needs Harry to go collect some fire seeds, which you will think, easy fetch, right? No. In the process, we fight 2 boar gargoyles, solve moderate level puzzles, and jump through a lake of lava. Are we aware that an adult and also a professor sent a new student into a high-risk mission? I cannot be the only one thinking that's wrong. At the end of all that lava, we find where the fire seeds are waiting to be collected. We need to cast Incendio so we can grab them and head all the way back to Hagrid. Turns out he needed the seeds to help his dragonet hatch. Not relevant to the game at all, but it's part of the movie. Decided to explore a little outside, Ron finds us and has something to show us, the entrance to the Quidditch field. At this point, you know you're gonna be actually able to play the sport. Need help? Longbottom interrupts our conversation to tell us that Malfoy has stolen his Remembrall. Of course, it's up to us to retrieve his precious item. Ha ha ha, I'm so evil, I'm not gonna give it back unless you catch me, says the main character from Home Alone. And this starts a pursuit in broom through the outsides of the castle. Not an advocate for violence, but I enjoyed charging into Malfoy for this sequence. The chase is not supposed to be nice, but the whole scenery is very pretty, which makes it relaxing to some extent. And after bashing Draco a couple more times, I don't give a damn. We retrieve the Remembrall after that tantrum and find Neville so we can give it back. He is so happy, and immediately afterwards, Professor McGonagall makes an appearance. She does not appreciate us beating some sense into Malfoy, but she claims we have talent for the broom. Conveniently enough, the Gryffindor Quidditch team needs a seeker, and she offers that spot to Harry since she is the head of the house. And that's the story of how we made it to our very first Quidditch game. Very similar to the movie. Even though the actual match is just a minigame we practiced during the lessons, they did a very great job of putting you on the situation of playing a Quidditch match for the cup. There is a narrator, there is public, you race against the other house's seeker for the snitch, and there is even collision against any player along the field. Was something like this so hard to do in 2023? As suspected, we are Harry Potter and we grab the snitch, beating Hufflepuff in the first game of the season. Action continues when we meet Snape for the first time, Professor of Potions, class that we're headed to. I really like this part of the castle. The dark aesthetic is very fitting. Ginny Granger is waiting for us at the door, and finally we have a class where no physical activity is required. Here we learn how to create potions in cauldrons, and that's about it. Snape cannot help himself but hate on Harry, and sends him to fetch a jar from the back rooms. Everything is going well until everything starts going wrong, when suddenly the stalking masked man casts a spell and breaks the ground under Potter.
Fairly sure that was not featured in the books.
Harry's legs survive the fall, and we appear to be inside a troll chamber. Luckily, not big ones. Fearlessly, we fight a lot of them, including one that was taking the nap. Harry grabs the Firefly's jar, he gives it to Snape, and nothing about that whole incident is mentioned to the authorities. Next important class is gonna be Transfiguration, dictated by Professor McGonagall, where we're going to learn how to transform items into hovering platforms. Thanks to this new learned spell, we are able to reach other levels of the castle, and out of nowhere, the famous ghost, Peeves, challenges to a race, which is difficult but quite fun. At the very end, he let us win and gives us some mail that was intended for our hands in the first place, the invisibility cloak. If you watch the movie, you can easily guess where this is going now. The Forbidden Corridor, which Finch is guarding, allowing no one to enter. Good news is, we are prepared for this. Starting a stealth sequence that doesn't go as easy as the movie would, since they made the invisibility of the cloak have a limited effect after acquiring an item. Nevertheless, a fun adaptation from the film that adds up to the overall experience. So after eluding Filch and his cat for a while, we find what they were hiding. The Mirror of the Arist, which, as you know, holds the deepest desires of our hearts, and in this case, of course, Harry can see his parents. Dumbledore makes an irrelevant appearance to explain the mirror contents to Harry, and never be seen again. It's never explained, but somehow Ron is right outside the room we just had to sneak past the last 30 minutes, but that's okay, I guess. Apparently, a troll has Hermione cornered in the girls' bathroom, so we have to save her. We run as fast as we can, only to find a massive troll right behind us that begins to chase us. Not exactly how it went down in the movies, but a very entertaining bit. We finally make it to the bathroom where Hermione is hidden and the troll makes his entrance. This Ron definitely saw the movies because he exactly knew what he had to do off the bat. During the fight with the troll, my timing was awful. Good thing that Ron was able to withstand a couple of toilets to the head. But just like you will expect, Ron and Harry get it done and everyone is safe. Again, an adult needs us to solve his problems. Hagrid's dragon, the one we helped hatch, is sick, so we need to get some items from the Diagon Alley, easily the most annoying part I had to deal with in a while. On paper, it's an easy to-do list, but first we need to get some money out of the Gringotts Bank, which is nice to visit. I don't remember ever making it so far as a child in this game. The problem comes when ATMs are not available, and the only choice is a minigame where you have to collect the coins yourself. Absolutely criminal how hard they made it to be. And what's even worse is the fact that you have to do it 3 times. One for each type of coin you're withdrawing.
Fairly sure that was not featured in the books.
Okay, we have the money. The pain is done, right? No. Instead of just paying the shopkeepers for their services, somehow you have to do their job. Is any adult useful in this game? At least this whole deal is relevant. Norbert is now cured and safe, but since we have been dealing with a dragon and keeping it a secret, we are now in detention and sent to the woods to investigate what's killing unicorns in the forest. So we're out here, after hours and unsupervised. What could go wrong? We are tasked to follow the trail of Silverblood and see what's at the end of it. In the process, we fight fire turtles, trolls, and sadly we didn't beat Malfoy up because he was also a part of this detention for snitching. What we find at the end of the trail of Silverblood is a shocking discovery. We see a dark figure eating what it seems to be a unicorn. As we make eye contact with the individual, Harry's scar starts hurting before he passes out. He wakes up at Hagrid's hut, and it's later explained that Harry was saved by a centaur, and that dark figure was he who must not be named. As a gift, Hagrid gives Harry a flute that can be used to put animals to sleep. Could be useful. Hermione becomes aware to the existence of the Sorcerer's Stone, artifact that grants immortality to its user. Because Snape is all dark and shady, we suspect he is after it, so the trio decides we are going to get that stone before he does. If you're wondering if I've been collecting the beans, yes I have. Giving the twins the amount of beans they ask for grants access to some secret portraits, and inside you can find rewards like the Nimbus 2000, the absent Dumbledore card, Quidditch armor, and the last one is an upgrade to the Flipendo spell. Allegedly is stronger, allow me to doubt it, but at least it looks cooler now.
Flipendo!
See? It's not the same as.
Flipendo!
The trio goes into the Forbidden Room in the Forbidden Corridor, and inside they find Hagrid's pet that will never hurt anyone.
Only Hagrid would call this monster Fluffy.
We are not fighting our way out of this one, so we use the flute that Hagrid conveniently gave to us, so the plan is to put him or them to sleep. Easier said than done, and I see a lot of hazards in the process, but nothing that we cannot deal with. With Fluffy now snoring, we can easily sneak past him. What we find inside that trapdoor that he was guarding is the Devil's Snare, an evil tentacle plant that we're going to defeat with the help of Flipendo's here, Flipendo's there, dodge the center snare, that's how you get rid of the Bulbasaur Vine Whip, only for it to have a second phase. Second part is more of the same. At the end, Harry gets mad and casts Incendio, so there is no trilogy. Next puzzle is the infamous chessboard. If you like the game, it should be easy, not because you know the rules, but because you have to predict their movement and make both black and white pieces fight since they're after you. We play chess across 3 different boards, so we can proceed to the next stage. A groggy troll barely wakes up right behind us, and we do not wish to fight, of course. What we have to do is take out of his sleepy way all of the objects with Wingardium Leviosa, because you're a wizard, Harry. Hands are not allowed. Hermione finds a way out, and the troll falls to a pit. That silly sequence is over, but we're not done with the whole silliness, since now we have to choose the right shell and beat the Black Knight, given that he holds a potion that will allow us to advance through black fire. He was hiding on the right, and that starts a fierce fight against this magic being. He has a shield that can block our spells, but the moment we catch him lacking, his head goes flying. We drink the potion he was holding onto, so we can advance. There's only one. Harry is gonna have to cross that fire alone. What we find inside is the dark figure, who for the first time speaks to us, drops some evil lines and evil spells, and sends the knights to attack us. 4 of them are not a problem, especially if they're sent 2 at a time. He sees that we had it easy and goes, what about a big one? And this battle is very cool. The camera movement, how aggressive he is, and also cannot be harmed all of the time. A worthy pre-final boss fight. The defeat of the large knight brings the whole place to shambles, when we can see for the first time Quirrell showing his face as the dark figure all along. He runs inside and we go after him not before a final health refill. In this final room, we find the mirror of the Erised one more time, and what Harry sees on the reflection is himself holding the Sorcerer's Stone, which ultimately becomes a reality. Quirrell/Voldemort order us to give him the stone, which obviously is not happening, giving place to the final battle. He walks forward in a very menacing way, cannot be directly hit, and has all sorts of spells. The way to damage him goes by making the pillars fall on his head. Second phase of Baldy comes out as we get him to half HP. We are now using the mirror to amplify the power of our, doing a lot of damage to the Noseless. Of course, the mirror only has 2 sides, so when he is parallel to it, we have nothing to hurt him with. But with patience, everything is possible. Voldemort gets tired of rodeos and decides to go for it physically. This starts a button mashing sequence that seems to be hurting Quirrell, which I'm guessing makes reference to what really happens in the movie. The spell on Harry's skin, casted by his mother, reacts excruciatingly to any touch that comes from a Voldemort source. But here, Quirrell's body totally gives out in pain as Harry passes out. The end. Very cinematic for a PlayStation 1 game, not gonna lie. The Red Book opens again. I hope you already applied for a job now. Dumbledore returns with both milk and cigarettes to tell us that the Sorcerer's Stone has been destroyed. Voldemort is not defeated, but we delayed his return. Harry goes down to the Great Hall to the House Cup coronation, which Slytherin was leading the race for. Dumbledore awards Gryffindor 60 points for Harry's valiant efforts and steals the trophy cup at the very end. Truly a happy and fitting ending to what the Sorcerer's Stone, both film and game, represents for the viewer. The credits start rolling, and that is about all the first Harry Potter for the PS1 has to offer. Took me nearly 5 hours to beat the game. Content-wise, it's a very complete experience, from collectibles and mini-games. Cheers to games that are well made. But you're zealous. You never explain why this game is better than Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, you're not convinced still? Well, that's easy, because they don't have this Hagrid.
To attend your Herbology class.
If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and it might help others find the video too. Remember that you can follow me in my other socials, where you can tell me your favorite color. A special thanks to everyone that subscribes and comments, and with nothing else to say, happy Monday and good night.